You're live.
All right. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Leesburg. The theme for this year is Living Out Loud. And for the month of June, we are embracing self-care. The message today is Evolution of Self-Care, and it will be given by our wonderful spiritual director, Charlie Banks. We are so happy that you joined us here today. Thank you so much for your time out of your busy schedule. If you have any prayer requests, concerns, or celebrations that you would like us to include later in our service, please feel free to add them to the chat, and we will include them when we do our spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of affirmative prayer. So we're here, we're ready. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy our opening video. Please join us as we create our sacred space. We set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of our 5 pillars of spiritual living by lighting this candle in our virtual world. Our first pillar is sacred study, represented by the divine quality of truth. We use this pillar to recognize the importance of an open mind and the power of our minds. The second pillar is affirmative prayer, represented by the divine quality power. This pillar honors the power of prayer in our daily lives. Our third pillar is meditation and the divine quality of peace. This pillar reminds us of the importance of meditation and the peace we feel when we quiet our minds. The fourth pillar is circulation and the divine quality of life. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the fifth pillar is sacred service and the divine quality of love. This pillar affirms our call to be of service to our world as we see through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes as we bless this sacred space and our time together. As we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our own spiritual practices of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and our hearts to the 5 divine qualities of truth, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today and everyone in attendance. May the energy of love that is generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. All right, good morning again, everyone. And now is the time for our meditation. So with a theme in mind, embracing self-care, I took an oldie but a goodie, but I modified it just a little bit. So here we go. This is the loving kindness meditation, but the focus is going to be on loving and kindness for yourself. So I'm going to read 4 phrases, and as I read them, I want you to repeat them back, say them with me. But first, let's get into that meditative state by relaxing our bodies. Just relax your shoulders, maybe shrug them a little bit. Plant your feet on the floor, but stay in a relaxed position. Just try to clear your mind by taking a few deep breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale and exhale. All right, let's begin our meditation officially. So I'll say the phrase, and then you say it with me. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be happy. All right, that might sound familiar to some of you, but now I'm going to modify it. I want you to think of a stressful situation that is in your life right now. Might be easy to do, right? That's life. So I want you to think about that stressful situation, and I'm going to plant a little seed. Next time you find that yourself in that stressful situation, try pausing and saying these phrases. So let's practice now with that stressful situation in mind. Here's our dress rehearsal. Once again, repeat after me. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with kindness. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be well. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be happy. What do you think? Something to tuck into your pocket when you get into a stressful situation. Just try taking that deep breath, putting that pause button, and remind yourself of those 4 phrases. Now, this is going to sound familiar because this is straight out of that loving kindness meditation. Think of someone who is causing a stressful situation in your life, a stress-causing person. And instead of sending this message out to them, once again, I want you to do a little dress rehearsal. Picture in your mind's eye that you're with that person who causes you stress, causes your blood pressure to rise a little bit, causes you to feel anxious, maybe triggers you. And let's do that dress rehearsal. Next time that you find yourself in the presence of that person, pause and say these 4 phrases. Let's try it out. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. Think about that word peaceful, full of peace. May I be happy. May I be happy. All right. Another thing to tuck into your pocket when you find yourself feeling stressed around that person. All right, let's end our meditation by once again saying those 4 phrases and putting the focus on yourself. Really ingraining these 4 phrases into your thoughts so that they're always available when you need them. Here we go. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be well. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be happy. And one last one. May I remember to show love and kindness to myself. May I remember to show love and kindness to myself. Take a little deep breath to end our meditation for today. And let's join Leah with some live music. Here we go.
Good morning, CSL. I am very, very honored and grateful that I do have my choir here with me today. Lucia and Jacob are going to sing this song, and just like, so you guys can wave and say hi. Hello. Just like with Tamara's meditation, it was intended initially as a gift, as a medicine for a relationship seemingly outside of myself. So we're going to start by singing Just As You Are. But then we're going to turn it back inwards, because what I've learned through singing this song is that none of my relationships are outside of myself. It's all here, and it all starts here, and that's where the healing can happen. Just as you are, without changing a thing. Just as you are, I accept you. I see you, I hear you, I welcome you in, just as you are, just as you are. Just as I am, without changing a thing. Just as I am, I accept myself. See me, I hear me, I know who I am, just as I am, just as I am. You want to sing with us? Just as I am, without changing a thing. Just as I am, just as I am, I accept myself. I see me, I hear me, I know who I am, just as 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 I am.
Woo! That was amazing. What a beautiful family. How blessed we are. Yes, indeed. Thank you for singing that beautiful song, Just As I Am. Thank you, Tamara, for that wonderful meditation, that loving kindness. It never gets old. Giving ourselves that compassionate love and kindness that we're usually so generous to give to others. A little, sometimes we can be a little reluctant to show ourselves that same compassion. In fact, it reminds me of a quote from Pema Chodron: be kinder to yourself, and then let your kindness flood the world. And then Jack Kornfield stated, if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. So thank you for all of that beautiful meditation and the Just As I Am song. And welcome to June. It is Pride Month. So all of our LGBTQIA plus community, we stand with us and we're ready to just support. And so today's talk, the whole month, as Tamara mentioned, it is all about the evolution, or it's all about self-care. And today it's about the evolution of self-care. So where did self-care even come from? I mean, it's been batted around and it's modified itself over the years. And I wanted to just sort of start out with, historically, it was intended toward people who were in some type of way. They were either incarcerated, or they were somehow, maybe they came back from the war and they had some PTSD symptoms, and then it started spreading to those who cared for such people who needed the help. So we started to say, oh, self-care is important, not only for the people who need care from others, but also those who are the caregivers. And so it expanded to the EMTs, first responders, nurses, doctors, anyone who's involved with that. And then we realized, hold on. This is after the fact. We're giving this care after the fact. How do we care for ourselves so that we can reduce the trauma and the types of events that are catastrophic that befall us when we're not caring for ourselves. And specifically, not only minorities, the civil rights movement was all about self-care, because if we don't, who will? If we don't watch out for ourselves, these people will run us over and then not even back up the car and do it again. Like, we have to watch out for ourselves. And women who were in the workplace, newly admitted, allowed to be in the workplace, and then also not giving up all the work that they were doing at home. So women were the ones who first were the target of the modern term self-care. And then immediately, and I don't know the time frames, I can look this up for you and give you statistics, but I don't know if you guys care that much as you care like I do about the core of the effect of it. The minute we started talking about self-care, some of the paternalistic types, some of them, I'm not going to straight up call them misogynistic, but I'm just going to say, they started saying, oh, you mean selfish. And we had to really say, hold up, self-care, because the word self is in the front of it, does not mean that I'm being selfish. In fact, you might find, dear sir, that the happier I am, the happier you are. So if you let me have this moment to myself, be it in a bathtub with a glass of wine, be it in the woods, communing with nature, wherever it shows up for each and every one of us, because for each and every one of us, it looks a little different. If these others allow us, individuals, not just women, but everybody, allow ourselves that time to connect and renew and rebirth ourselves, then we emerge a much kinder, gentler person. Wouldn't you agree? It's what we need to do for ourselves. And if someone were to take that away, just remember, it's not selfish. And you know what the flight attendants do. Hey, Tamara does this one. She says this one all the time. When the flight attendants are standing in front of you and they talk about that little yellow thing that drops down, the little masks, they always say, put your mask on yourself first and then turn to help the others. Oh no, would it be selfish if I put my mask on first? Ma'am, if you're not alive, you cannot help anyone else. So we do take care of ourselves so that we may remain healthy and alive and able to then and only then support the other people in our lives. When we get this backwards, it feels really bad. And I don't really have to say these things to you, but I'm going to because it's part of my talk. I'm going to break down how do you know when you've not been giving yourself the self-care. Well, first of all, you get, okay, I have a whole list, so I'm not going to read them all, but I think you guys already know. I'm just going to point it out. Let's start with feelings, because there's 3 levels of understanding the self, right? You know this. Feelings. How do you feel? Are you snappy, irritable, a little bit moody? When people first start talking to you, do you immediately say to yourself, if not out loud, oh, leave me alone? If that's happening, if internally you kind of cringe when people are starting to talk to you, you might be a little bit out of balance with the self-care. And I'm pointing to you, but I'm pointing to me. If the first reaction I have when I get a text or a call from, say, a customer, if I'm like, oh, I'm thinking, okay, am I in balance? And then, because then when I feel like that, typically then the guilt starts. And I feel guilty. Oh, I shouldn't feel bad. Shouldn't I start shoulding all over the whole situation? I should. Then other feelings come up, a sense of dread or a sense of worry. Sometimes we'll feel a little bit overwhelmed, depressed. I know the 5-step prayer. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. I know I'm supposed to be grateful. I don't want to. Sometimes you don't feel like doing any of the stuff that balances you out. This is some of the ideas of whether we are taking care of ourselves or not. And typically, these feelings have you going along the lines of starting to ask yourself, where am I not taking care of myself? But those were the emotional signposts that say wrong way. You might be heading down the wrong street emotionally, but maybe some of us are not aware of our emotions as much. And maybe it's more of a physical interest that we have. Maybe we're very tuned into our bodies. So then my question becomes, do you have difficulty sleeping? How about difficulty breathing in and out at a depth that matters? Many of us can hyperventilate with the shallow breathing, but how about that deep breath? Are you finding yourself resistant to take a deep breath? Do you sweat a lot? You do a lot of sweating and there's no reason for it. You're not lifting weights, you're not jogging, you're just sitting there and all of a sudden, oh, and you're not a middle-aged menopausal woman. Do you just sweat a lot? And how about your muscles? Are they fatigued? Do you have any indigestion, any heartburn, any weight fluctuations? So that could be your body trying to, hello, we're going to need you to take care of us. It could be just a little bit of a knock knock. All right. And some of us who aren't very tuned in with our bodies, really not sure how we're feeling, sometimes that's because we stay in our minds. So mentally, here are some signposts of whether you might be feeling out of balance in your self-care. Are you forgetting a lot of things? I remember once when I knew I was getting out of balance, it would always show up in my car keys. If I started losing and misplacing my car keys more than once or twice in a week, I was like, oh, okay, all right, I get it. I'm not paying attention. And so that could be anything, forgetfulness, negative thinking, the dreadful thinking, thoughts that are sort of running you instead of you choosing your thoughts. In fact, this comes up a lot if you have repetitive thoughts or racing thoughts, like thinking really fast about a lot of things that really could go without thought. Or indecision about little things or big things, just perseverating, I think is what it's called, just going back and forth and overthinking things is sort of a signpost. And when you're bored or think, what am I doing this for anyway? These are signposts that maybe there might be some missing self-care in the works. Because a lot of times when we wake up in the morning, we hit the ground and we start going. Even though we know that it goes a bit better when we hit the ground and it was sit on the ground, sit on a pillow and sit still. Give me 10 minutes, put on insight timer. I'll take 3 minutes if you have it. That person that sat at the pillow is different from that person that emerges from the pillow. There's a calming and a soothing nature about just sitting still and watching your thoughts and not being led by them, but just watching them go by. Adding mantras and adding breathing exercises, that helps too. Whatever it takes to just calm down the mind. Because it gives us that gap where Tamara was like, she said something about pause. Just pause. And then it allows us to come into contact with what else is going on, because it's not only that outward depiction of what life seems to be. That's not all that's going on. We know that in our teaching, Ernest Holmes has taught us that what's within us is perfect. It's greater than anything that we can see. And when we sort of do it a disservice if we reduce our existence to only that which we can see, because we know that our world is so much bigger than the visible. Ernest Holmes said that in The Science of Mind, he says, I am perfect no matter what my appearance may be. And just in case you have a bit of a pushback to that, many who come to our teaching are a little bit reluctant to take this I am perfect to heart, because they're confronted with so many ways in which that is not true. I am not perfect. Look at these feet. I am not perfect. You just see my hair. because we're focusing on our identity being an outward depiction, only that which can be seen by the outward eye. When we incorporate instead the inner eye, what can be seen inside, that when we drop down into that center of ourselves, when we get in contact with that Atman, that's what the Hindus call it. The Atman is the perfect emanation of spirit that is inside us, as us. It is where we come from. It's not who we are. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's bigger than anything that you can see. It's a field of infinite possibilities that has created us exactly so, with each and every chink in the armor that's planned, so that we can use that to develop this amazing experience in life and then share it. But if we only sit with the outside, looking at the outside, looking at ourselves in a mirror of reflecting just our external, I want to say looking at ourselves in the mirror with a lens, because it blends something that I talked about before. But listen, if we start looking at ourselves with the context of societal expectations, we've limited who we can be. Those of us, again, in the LGBTQIA plus community, anybody who looked in the mirror and didn't identify with that gender that they were told they were, anybody that didn't identify with their sexuality that they were told that they should have, anybody that looks in the mirror and doesn't identify with that lens that they were given, well, then there's something more going on. We can ask questions and we can explore and we can journey through that vast internal world that has nothing, it does not deter, the external has no hold upon what we can do internally. And so it's really sitting down and knowing that we have the ability, we have the guidance ability with our energy and our attention to focus it within, and we can plan and execute anything we want. Ernest Holmes said in The Science of Mind, he says, humans' first discovery was their ability to think, plan, and execute. So here we are. We're talking about thinking, planning, and executing. And you know what that reminds me of? New Year's plans. You know how New Year's resolutions come in? We sit down at the end of a year, and we look back, and we decide who it is that we want to be. We use where we came from, the ups and downs and all the ins and outs of what we've done. And then we project onto the screen of our minds what it is we would like to experience. And we create a vision board. We've done that. We create a vision board and we find pictures that represent what it is we want for ourselves for this new year. And it might come with, I will stop doing XYZ and I will start doing ABC, because I know that not getting enough sleep is not taking care of myself. So part of my plan is to get enough sleep to take care of myself. Perhaps it's staying hydrated. Maybe last year I didn't drink a lot of water every day. It wasn't my priority. This year I want to drink at least X number of glasses of water per day. Many of us go through this, and I just have a question for you guys. How is it going? How is your resolution going? How's your vision board? Is it turning out okay? I think coming up soon, we're going to have someone, a wonderful part of our community, Miss Layla, is going to lead us through a workshop about checking in on your vision board. But just today, I want you to take a moment and think about where you are with it. Because we take a path through our lives. We take a path, and it's not always linear. Sometimes that path is a spiral. We seem to go around in circles. But as we go in those circles, the circumference is getting bigger. We could say, oh, here we are again, recommitting to the gym. Okay. And then maybe it's a longer path that we stay on that path before we have to recommit. So I'm here to tell you this, that we can all make choices each and every moment We don't have to wait for the new year to come. And once it does come, it's a great milestone to start making those plans. But if we fell short of some of those goals during the year, we are at the halfway point. Well, there's nothing wrong with resetting and restarting whatever it is we planned for us. Now, that could be visualizing our ideal day, maybe in the morning, waking up and having that moment on that pillow, on that cushion, and just knowing ahead of time how your day will be, visualizing the ideal day, creating a structure for the day to fill, a mold, if you will, for the day to then fill out. You're guiding your day because Ernest Holmes said we have the ability to think, to plan, and to execute. And so we take this thinking and we choose our thoughts, and then we make a mold of what it is we want to experience and allow our day to unfold into that. And I'm not talking about trying to micromanage others or to treat everyone as if they're simply an actor in our play. We are the main, to go with Tamara's talk last week, we're the main character, and you are simply my supporting roles. Well, that's true for everyone. Everyone's the main character in their lives. And we can request, but we can't demand that others show up for us in a certain way. And so we take back that power. If there's anything in our lives right now that we're expecting someone else to do, it's their job to make me happy, we might be saying to ourselves. It's kind of not their job to make you happy. It really isn't. They weren't placed on this planet to make us happy. The moment we think they were, that's the moment they let us down. I'm talking in the nanosecond that you start expecting that person to make you happy, it is that very nanosecond that they let you down. I feel like it's part of the formula of the universe, because we're not supposed to put our faith in other people to make us happy. We're supposed to be the best we can for ourselves. We sit, we create a vision for our lives, and we create a space for that vision to unfold. We offer people the opportunity to be that role for us, to step in that role and make us happy. We do not depend on that person to bring us that thing. That's where the trouble happens, because we're writing a script. We're placing other people in certain roles. That has to be an interchangeable role. It has to be anyone the divine is guided to send me. I appreciate it. If I'm going for a contract, any contract that the divine finds, I do not set my sights on a particular one. I learned that lesson. You guys learned it with me. I'm so sure that my good is going to come from this channel. In the meantime, this other channel, which has more good for me than I could even imagine, is knocking on the door trying to get in, but I'm so focused on this one avenue. The universe has 1 million+ avenues to bless us with all we ever could desire and more, if we only open our vision to see it. So to take care of ourselves, we learn what it is that's ours to do. And we consistently ask ourselves, what is mine to do? How can I be a blessing in this moment that I'm in? And if something terrible is going down, I mean horrible, some traumatic thing is going down, we don't seek to avoid it or just pat it away. It's all good. It's all God. It's all good. No, sometimes it sucks. And even in that moment, that's not all that is. The moment that we're in, that's not all there is. There's something more going on. The divine is more than what we're looking at all the time. And so if we can simply take our expectations out and just know that we are divinely held and know that we are in charge of taking care of ourselves, then we can relax. We can relax because we no longer feel we have to pull the strings of all the other people. Our manipulation factor goes down. People around us feel free to be who they are instead of walking on eggshells, being who they think we want them to be. It's a whole different energy. It's a whole different vibe to be in the presence of someone that just allows us to be ourselves. Just lets it be. And we are in charge of taking care of ourselves. We're not victims. I'm reminded of a story of a man. One day, he opened his lunch bag at work and he complained, another cheese sandwich. I am so sick of cheese sandwiches. The next day again, he opened up his lunch and said, cheese sandwich again? I'm going to die from these cheese sandwiches. But he ate it anyway, grumbling. Then the following day, yet again, he opened up his bag and everybody's looking at it. You got another cheese sandwich? He's like, oh my God, yes, I got another cheese sandwich. This is killing me. Finally, one of the coworkers speaks up and says, so, question, why don't you just tell your wife you don't like cheese sandwiches? Like, are you not in control? Dude. And so the guy says, wait, I don't have a wife. And so the coworker says, well, then who's making these cheese sandwiches? And the man then says, well, I make them. He makes them and he's complaining about them. And it's funny because how often do we complain about patterns in our lives, not realizing we're the ones creating the pattern? We are the designers of this. We are the ones that set up the situation. And then we're complaining about it. I guess it's easy to complain about it instead of change it. I don't know this guy's story, but it's hilarious. I know for me, there have been times when I've complained about things and realized, oh, the call's coming from inside the house. The horror shows would always show somebody getting a phone call and it's terrifying. And then they call the exchange. Where's the call coming from? From inside the house. You're locked in. The person's right there. And sometimes the person's right in the mirror. My example is I'm always, well, not anymore, but up until very recently, I would complain. I'm so busy. I never have time. I never have time because it's more acceptable for a person in my head at the time. It was more acceptable for people to be really, really busy and then not get things done than to have plenty of time and admit, oh yeah, I procrastinated. I just didn't do it. That's harder. To sit in the mirror and explain to oneself, I procrastinated. That wasn't a priority. I didn't do it yet. I plan to do it at some point. Being honest is the first step in self-care. Are we really at fault? Are we really the victim of cheese sandwich maker? No, we are the cheese sandwich. We did it. We did it to ourselves, self-inflicted. And that's good news. Once you get over the freak out that, oh my God, I'm doing this to myself, then the good news is, oh my gosh, I'm doing it to myself. So I shall stop doing that. Awareness brings it up into our minds, brings it right in front of us, and then we can choose. And the beautiful part about it is if we still choose it, then we're less likely to complain. If we consciously choose it, then we just own it. Own it. You don't owe anybody anything. If for me in the procrastination story, if I'm late with a paper, and I typically am, although lately I've been getting them in on time because I started to own it. I just tell the person, listen, I'm going to need another day because I procrastinated. And then when I turned in the paper recently, I said, yep, I procrastinated because I wanted it to be perfect. I realized perfect is the enemy of good enough. And I'm going to turn in a paper that's good enough. And the instructor was like, this paper is fantastic. I don't know why you. And a lot of times we're getting in our own way. And so I just want to say that as we evolve individually in self-care, we know that we are choosing with our thoughts what it is we want. Then we are allowing that vision to unfold in whatever way the universe would like to bring it to us, knowing that the divine is likely to surprise us and give us even more than what we thought we desired. So in closing, I just want to say there's this quote from Audre Lorde from A Burst of Light and Other Essays. She says, self-care is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. So we go within, and let me check to see if there's any prayer requests. I am whole, perfect, and complete. There's only one power, only one life. And this life is my life now. The divine that has emanated and expressed itself in myriad of ways throughout this universe and beyond is still more than that. The divine is more than what it has created thus far, because there is a source of infinite possibility, vast, varied, and individually, it's just so much possibility lives in each and every one of us. We are not limited by what came in the past. We're not limited by our previous behavior. In this very moment, we can begin again. We can choose again, and we can lead a life of joy. And so I speak my word right here, right now, that anyone present, anyone within the sound of my voice who is experiencing anything less than their divine idea, that right now, a new image is unfolding. A new awareness is waking up, and we are able to grow toward that. We have everything we need, and whatever else we need will be provided as we move along our journey. And I speak my word that as we take each step, we take it with passion, and we take our divinely guided steps toward our destination, knowing that it unfolds with friends and loved ones along the way. I know all is well. It's all good. So I release my word, which is creative, which creates experiences, because the law says yes, like a seed planted into soil, we get the beautiful flowering plant. And so I release my word into this soil, into this law, knowing that it is already beginning to happen. It is already done. And so it is, and so I am. Ashe. Whew. All right, Leah and Bam.
Thank you so much, Shar. This song is by Meredith Buck. It's called the Eel River Chant. Lay yourself down on the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down on the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down on the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down on the rocks now. Let your body down. Let the water decide. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down in the rocks now. Let the river be your guide. Let your body down. Let the water decide. Listen to the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime. Lay yourself down on the rocks now. Let your body down in the river. Listen for the drumming on the other side. Lose yourself in the meantime.
Woo! That was amazing. Such talented family. So what's it like to be in such a talented family? It's amazing. You guys.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Tamara had to step out. She's going to go have an adventurous afternoon. So I shall wrap it up for her. Thank you for coming. And I love so much our meetings on Sunday. I live for it. It's really great. So, but we can't do it without your support. So we do appreciate you guys. I know that many of you already give so generously. So I do thank you for that. If you haven't yet, then please start. If you could see the screen here, which I haven't shared yet. So of course I shall share. Hold on. Here we go. You can see different ways to give. You can text your donation. You can send it through Cash App. You can write an old-fashioned check and mail it. That way, we get many ways to give. And we know that with your support, we are turning around and supporting our community as well. So if you want to, if you don't mind taking your gifts, whether it's in your mind, you have a mental picture of your electronic transaction, go ahead and hold it over your heart. And repeat with me the blessing of our gifts. The presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I am a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. And for announcements, our main announcement is that we're doing classes. We've got 2 classes. The first class that both Tamara and I are going to teach both of them because we just love getting with you guys and learning and seeing how far you're coming with it. So we just both of us teach it. It's cool. The first one, it's a 10-week class. It'll probably be reduced in length, but the same material will be included. We're going to start on June 12th, which is Monday nights. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll see you here. But you have to have had a class already. That would be the foundations class. If you want to come to the foundations class, we're also offering that. And it's probably not going to start June 11th. It's probably going to start a week after that because we have a board meeting on June 11th that I was reminded of. But it's starting soon. I'm going to go ahead and paste the link to that one in the chat here. But if you go to cslleesburg.com and choose classes, you'll see both of those classes there. Click the register now button, and you can even pay in installments. It's really super easy. But I'm putting in the chat for everybody the foundation. That one's the foundations class. Okay. So listen, we're done. You guys have been great. You guys have been fabulous. I love everyone. So look at my rainbow heart. It's just love. So if you can unmute yourself, we're going to do the closing affirmation, and it's a call and response. So repeat after me. I'm love.
I'm love.
What? I heard you. All right. Point at someone in the room or point at the camera if you're in there by yourself. You are love.
You are love. Our love.
Yes. Now put your hands up in the air, pump it like you just don't care, and say, it's all love, y'all.
It's all love. It's all love, y'all. Yeah.
You guys are awesome. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the live stream, but don't you go anywhere. If you're watching on Facebook or something, just log off to that and come on over to Zoom. Go to cslleesburg.org, click Zoom link, join us because we're going to do our pearls. And we're going to talk about fun stuff that we got out of this and other things that come up. Just come on over and grab some coffee. If you have to run, I get it. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.